Hello, this is a bay tree. It's a lollipop bay tree. It's one of two bay trees which were given to me. When they were given to me, they were in a bit of a sorry state and they needed reinvigorating. So in this video, I'm going to reinvigorate and resuscitate these bay trees and give them a new lease of life. So please sit back and relax whilst I give you an explanation of what and why and how I'm going to bring these bay trees back to life. Now, it has to be said that the previous owners of these bay trees, my good friends John and Wendy, had looked after them very, very well for many, many years, and the only reason they were in such a poor state of repair when I got them was the fact that they'd been through a particularly bad winter. So John and Wendy, who weren't inclined to wait for them to recover, allowed me to take them. And it is going to take some time for these to come back to life, but I'm quite sure, confident that they will do. Here's where I'm going to put them, over here in this space in my olive grove. They're going to go on either side of a Lutyens bench, which I've not bought yet. And this will be the view from that bench looking out over the garden. I'm going to put these pavers around the base of the bay trees. And just for now, very, very gentle pruning of the hedge. Now it is bird nesting season. So I'm just going over very, very lightly. I did check in the hedge first and there were no nests evident, but just for now, I wanted to give it a light prune. So raking up the bits here so that the piece of ground where these are going to be planted is clear. Now I want to be able to get behind these bay trees with my lawnmower, so I'm just measuring it there. I'm going to place them far enough away from that hedge so I can get my lawnmower behind it. A bit of line marker spray there. X marks the spot, and you can see another piece here. Now that plank there is about 7 foot long, and that is about how long the Lutyens bench will be. So the bench will sit along this line here, and I want the bay trees to be on either end of this plank. So basically when you sat on the bench, you'll be able to look left and right and see a lollipop. Just checking the view there. Yes, that looks good to me. Right, so let's bring the pavers over. First of all, put my work boots on because I'm about to do some digging and moving some heavy stones. So these pavers I found in my garden when I moved in. They were buried underneath some old bushes. So it's good to be able to put these to good use. They will help suppress the grass around the bay trees in their new location. And there'll always also be a circular space in the middle for watering. So you'll see me install those in a moment. Now that area of my lawn in the distance there is going to be an olive grove, and all of it is eventually going to be covered in gravel. Underneath weed fabric. So this is where they are going to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to offer them up and lay them out and put them into position. And this will give you an idea where these bay trees are eventually going to be positioned. So one on that side of the bench, and as you can see here, another one on the other side. These pavers will stay in situ even when the gravel is in place. I'm turning these over now, and you might wonder, why is he turning them over? Well, it'll become obvious. I'm about to spray around them, and I don't want to get blue paint on the side that's going to be visible. So there we are. And you can see the damage that would have been done had I not turned them over. So just basically marking around them so that I can take them away. And I've got a clear idea where the bay trees are going to end up. Now, this is turf, as you can probably see. And the turf I don't want, so I'm going to be digging it up. And you'll see what I'm going to do with that in a minute, because I've got a bit of a hack for you. But for now, let me start digging a hole. Now, how big do I need the hole to be? Well, bay trees, one thing they do not want is to be sat in wet soil. So I'm going to plant them slightly proud of the ground, and certainly no deeper than they were originally planted, so that the water can drain away from the base of the trunk. Now, that damage to the bark that you saw earlier can be caused by one of two things. It can be caused by a very, very severe frost, or it can be also caused by unstable watering. So if you let it dry out and then water it, it can expand and crack. So there's a reason why that bark can peel off. But as I said earlier, it's not always fatal, providing the whole of the branch or the trunk isn't ringed. In other words, as long as there's still some bark at some point going all the way up and down the trunk, it will survive. Bay trees are adapted for that, and you see it quite often on bay trees. These bay trees are made up of 4 vertical stems which are plaited together. And you'll see in a moment that I'm not absolutely sure that all of the vertical branches that are plaited together have survived. But even if only one of them has survived, I will be able to still get a ball shape on the top of it. A bit of a fast forward scene here, just as you see me remove the turf from the second bay tree's location. Okay, and that turf will not go to waste because I have a raised bed, and they're often difficult to fill our raised beds, so this is a brilliant use. If we place it face down so that the turf dies, and I will put some well-rotted manure on top of this, and the worms will work their magic and they'll come along, and all that turf and all that lovely topsoil will be used in future to feed the plants or the seeds or the seedlings that I plant into my raised bed. Incidentally, those raised beds were given to me. If you want to see them, there's a video on my channel. Right, how deep do we plant these? Well, here is a pot that's exactly the same size as the pots they're already in, and we want that to be slightly proud of ground level. So in theory, if I fill that pot, I've removed enough soil from the hole to plant these into, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to start digging and taking away the soil. I'm keeping the soil because good soil, good topsoil, and that will eventually be going back into the hole. Now, good topsoil is brilliant and it will be very fertile and rich in nutrients, but these trees like moist but well-drained soil. Fortunately and happily, I have great drainage in my garden because about 18 inches deep, it's pure sand. But what I would do if I were you and you were about to plant a bay tree in the ground, I would enhance the drainage around it. And you'll see in a moment that even though I've got pure sand underneath my topsoil, which helps with drainage greatly, I am also going to be adding some gravel to the bottom of this hole. So there we go. In fact, if you look at that pot there, look at the top of it, you can see the colour of the soil has changed to a kind of orangey red colour. Look at that. Lovely, sandy, well-drained soil. Brilliant for a bay tree. Nevertheless, you don't want the trunk to be underneath the ground. Right, a bit of gravel just to enhance the drainage even further. And as you'll see in a moment, this will go straight in to the hole, and I will dig it in a little bit. And when that plant is planted on top of it, that structure and that drainage will keep the water away from the roots. If plants like this, which are native to the UK, do like moist but well-drained soil, and if you let them sit in wet soil, you'll end up with root rot, which is caused by a fungus that lives in damp soil. Right, let's get that in there. You can see that pot or that tub is damaged. Not going to be used again, that one. Look at that, there's some weeds on top. They're going to be removed. They are competition for the plants and we don't want them. So let's get rid of them, put them to one side. And the other thing that I noticed is quite a lot of crocks in the bottom of this pot, which is a great thing. That's wonderful for drainage. You can see there little bits of terracotta that will have helped. But eventually, any plants in pots will exhaust the soil that they're sitting in. And they'll also put roots into those crocks, and which will eventually block the drainage up. Great big fat juicy worm there, did you see it? Right, let's just see what this looks like now. Let's just offer it up and see whether it's at the right depth. Because if it isn't at the right depth, I can still adjust the depth by adding more soil beneath it or by taking soil away. You can see there that I've done some damage to the roots. Don't worry about that. That will stimulate new root growth. Right, it's a bit deep, that. I'm going to put a bit more soil underneath it. Still a little bit low for my liking. I want that trunk to be above the ground. So that's what we've done. We've put more soil in. Now, this is slow release fertilizer. I haven't put any underneath. I put it around the edge because I want it to to encourage it to put roots out to the side. And now I'm just backfilling. And as I backfill, the slow release fertilizer is mixed into the soil. I'll add a little bit more just for good measure. This will give it a real boost. Now we're in springtime. This is a great time to do this. The ground is just starting to warm up, which will stimulate those roots to start growing. And when the roots start growing, they will start feeding the plant. The plant will start photosynthesizing and feeding itself. And then we have a virtuous cycle. Now this has to be healed in quite well. I want that soil to have good contact with the roots, and I'm going to do something else in a moment to make sure that the soil is around the roots. And here we are placing those lovely pavers. I have to say, I'm very pleased with the effect this gives. When these are sitting on weed fabric and the whole area is covered in gravel, when I finish off my olive grove, it's going to look really nice. And there is some more gravel as a top crest. That will give stability, suppress weeds, retain moisture. There we are. I'm very pleased with it. What a lovely job that is. Now then, let's deal with the top of this plant. As I said earlier, it will grow back from living wood, old wood, but it won't grow back from dead wood. So I'm cutting off anything that looks dead. Get it out of the way, let the air through. I think I worked out on this one that two of the branches that are planted together are actually dead, which means that two of them are still alive. So the growth of the two living ones will eventually create a ball, and we will have in the future another lollipop. Those there have still got life in them. They've still got growth coming out of them. It might take time and it might take a couple of years, but this will eventually grow back into a ball shape. It looks a bit pitiful right now, I agree, but patience, that's what gardening's all about, and we will end up with a success because that's going to start taking nutrients up from the ground. Right, we just got one more to do, and I'll whistle through this one. It's exactly the same process. Get it out of the pot, remove the crocks, dig the hole, make sure it's the right depth, enhance the drainage a little bit, put it in, give it a little bit of a boost with some slow release food. Incidentally, make sure it's vertical. Step away from it, look at it from a distance to make sure it's vertical. And there we are. Now this one is in much better condition than the other, but that doesn't mean that the other one won't do well. I've confidence that both these will thrive as plants, even though the other one is slightly disabled with two of its limbs amputated. Again, healing it in so that it's got nice contact, a bit more top dress of soil. I did put some slow release in there, and finally putting on the pavers again. So despite the fact that I kept repeating the fact that these love well-drained soil and they don't want wet roots, it's really important to make sure that these are watered well, certainly for the first 12 to 18 months. So I will give these a good soaking now, and I will give them a good soaking at least every month throughout the summer period, and I'll be watching the branches for signs of distress. There we go. Very pleased with that, and I think that, and I will update you by the way, in the future this is going to look wonderful. So there we go, job done. Both the bay trees now planted out and looking forward to a brighter future with their feet in the ground. Much more hopeful for the bigger one, but even the smaller one, two of the branches were very definitely still alive, and we will eventually get a bay tree lollipop back on that, especially now that they've got their feet in the ground. Don't forget that all the things you've seen me use in this video are available in my Amazon shop, and as a quick reminder, very, very soon you'll be able to sign up to my newsletter, which is full of hints and tips and all those wonderful discount codes which suppliers keep offering me, and I'm going to share those with you in a newsletter. See you soon for some more bay tree adventures. Bye for now.